And we're live once again. So Danielle, would you like to continue the second question? Second question over for Jordan.
Sweet. Cool. Um, cool. So, give us a little bit of insight into your primary reasons for starting your online business. Is there a particular niche of clients that you go after, or are you more geared towards the needs of the general population?
Um, General population is probably the easiest way to answer that. You know, I sort of put a post up on a fitness professional page the other day. Sort of said that a lot of my clients are clients that aren't sort of yet ready to walk into a gym or face a personal trainer or whatever else they've got. Some serious confidence issues. So my format works well with them because they can do it from the comfort of their home. It's somewhat anonymous, being online. And then the second sort of type of client I have is basically the time poor people. The mums and people that struggle with having a lot of structure. Have to be at a certain place at a certain time or whatever. So the online format really works for the whole flexibility side of things. They can come and go, they can do their posts when they need to do their posts, and come in and come out as they need to. So that's sort of where my clients are. So general population, yes, but then try to define into two different categories. One being the time poor person. Two, the sort of a client that's sort of lacking in a bit of confidence. So that's sort of where the majority of my clients come from. But then I've also got personal trainers that are clients of mine, and different athletes. So it sort of varies, but they're sort of more the minority, and the majority definitely makes up the general pop.
Very interesting.
Cool. I was just asking because in my own online business, I tend to focus more on people that been in shape in the past and have sort of fallen off the bandwagon a little bit and need that extra little boost to get back in the swing of things. So my primary role as an online coach is generally just to write plans, but more to help people track progress. So I just wanted to compare notes a little bit with you as to the type of clientele that you generally go after, which is cool. I think it's a really valid point that a lot of people really are a little bit intimidated about the prospect of going to a gym. So I think it's a really positive thing that there are guys like us out there that are willing to put ourselves stepping stone towards eventually adopting a more full-on fitness lifestyle.
Yeah, I definitely could sort of see, with a lot of clients, I see myself as a stepping stone. I don't necessarily want clients for a long period of time. I want them to sort of graduate out of my program, and then start, going off to, one-on-one personal type training or whatever else. Basically want to give them the tools that they're confident enough to sort of just take control themselves, and they don't need me as much. So that's sort of how it works.
Definitely, that's actually something which I guess most of us as personal trainers who actually have an online business is providing the tools for clients to actually take control of their own training. I mean, like you said, we're just stepping stone. There's only so much we can do, especially when we don't see them in person. So for yourself, since you've been running this online business for quite a long time now, I'm sure you face some difficulties. Like you said, one of the advantages having an online business is that there's no fixed schedule for the clients. They do it when they're flexible, but that can be also probably like an obstacle. Like, they just, because there's no fixed schedule, the clients probably don't adhere to their training that often. So what are some obstacles you face with your online training business?
I suppose the old saying goes, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So, that sort of holds true to an extent. I suppose the first part of the whole process is them getting in contact with me. So they've already sort of mustered up enough want or motivation to sort of make that step. So you got a half step in the door. Now some people, the first week they're really good, and then the second week they start every second day they might be posting or making contact, or every third day, and then by the third week, you all of a sudden you're chasing them. So you definitely do have clients like that, and at the end of the day, I can't force them into anything. I sort of make it known to all my clients that the number one thing that they need to do to succeed is basically just have an open dialogue. If they're struggling with something, they need to tell me and we can work through something. Because, what I do with my clients is set up a plan and say, this is what we want to do. And they'll go away and they'll start doing that. And for whatever reason, it's not working. And, and that's where I need to have feedback from them, so then we can tweak it. And we just need to manage our expectations of the different tweaks that we keep making, et cetera, et cetera. But it's basically just making sure with every single client is having an open dialogue, and a client it'll stop posting for a couple of days or whatnot. I sort of take responsibilities that I follow them up. I'll follow them up to a certain degree, but if I've got a client in London, there's nothing I can do about her not posting. I can't go around to her house and say what's going on. So at the end of the day, it's on them to a degree, and I will take responsibility as their coach to try and push them. But you can only do so much. But as I sort of said, the dialogue is the number one thing that they need to sort of get down pat. All they got to do is talk to me. If they even if they say they don't want to do it anymore, we can generally have a good 10-minute conversation online, and we can normally get their head back in the game pretty easily. So it's just about, as I sort of said, it's just about dialogue, communication. Let's talk it through, and we'll get back on the wagon, and we'll start kicking goals again.
That's really true, man. And I also think that a part of being a coach is to be able to understand different types of people and their needs. Like, I have a couple of clients that are really good with just keeping in contact with me and being on the ball. And if they make a mistake or they slip up, they come to me and they're like, look, dude, this happened. And then we can rectify the situation pretty easily without any lag time. Whereas there's some people that fall off the wagon and then they just sort of feel ashamed. They have that guilt stop them from engaging in the dialogue. I think it's really important for us to really be empathetic about the struggles of other people, because there's 1,000 different reasons why somebody might have missed a workout or gone out and eaten 3,000 calories worth of ice cream. So I think you made a really valid point about the open dialogue. I think that's the key thing for anything, whether it's in-person training or offline training or online training or whatever kind of training. It's about really understanding the needs of the individual at that moment in time, so that we can construct the problem systematically and then reconstruct it in a way that allows the trainee to go back head first into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some clients that if I told them to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, do 3 pirouettes, a somersault, and hop back into bed, it'll improve their gains. They'd do it. But I've got other clients that if I say do X, for whatever reason, psychology, whatever reason they want to do it, they'll want to do Y. They just want to sort of tweak it and sort of kind of rebel against the system. And you've got different clients in different ways, and we just got to work through it and manage expectations and sort of say, I don't care if you want to eat 3,000 calories worth of ice cream. I don't really care. But you have to understand that doing that is not going to get you to your end goal of what you wanted in the first place. So you've got to make that call. There's nothing wrong with eating 3,000 calories worth of ice cream, if that's what you want to do. But there is something wrong with eating 3,000 calories and you're expecting a different result from eating 3,000 calories worth of ice cream. So you just got to own your choices and you got to own your decisions. And a lot of clients will tell me, "Oh, I wish you would, be harder on me," or whatever. In my experience, the clients are harder on themselves than I would ever be. And that's what leads them down the path of self-destruction, is because they've got it within themselves, like, "Oh, I've failed." And then that sort of sets off just a bad spiral of the next 3 days, and that's where I catch them, on the 3rd or 4th day and say, what's going on. So, a lot of the clients, they don't need me to sort of tell them, you've done this wrong. It's not a big deal. 3,000 calories worth of ice cream, I don't care. It's this day. We move on. As I sort of say, if we take 3 steps back, but we've taken 28 steps forward, guess what? We're 25 steps ahead of where we were. So we just got to manage that, and that's just what we do that's what I do with my clients nearly on a daily basis. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to add, it would be hypocritical of me to say, you've stuffed up here. How could you? I've never done that. Because that's just wrong. So we just manage it, and as I said, they will feel worse about it themselves. So I don't need, and I'm all about just sort of picking them back up, encouraging them, getting that motivation back, and let's go. And they'll make the right choices, and they'll make the right choices more often than not.
That's
true. That's true. Something that I wanted to sort of pick your brain about. Again, I usually deal with people that already have some training experience, so I don't really have to sit down and worry about their movement patterns, about them knowing how to hinge or squat or lunge. But if you're working with a client that's really not ever been to a gym, do you use videos as a primary method of sort of staying on top of their technique so as they don't get hurt?
I personally think that's probably the biggest challenge with online training above anything else. It's the number one challenge. I got one client that's started with me at 224 kilos, couldn't walk 5 meters without sitting down again. So it ranges from every single client, and it's going to change. So I don't necessarily coach from a movement pattern. I'd rather, if someone was going, I try and keep things as simple as possible. As I said, most of my clients are basically time poor, mums, etc., etc. So a lot of their exercise that I'm getting to do, depending on who they are, but if they're an obese client, I get them to do walking and whatnot, and eating right, and sort of don't sort of push hopping. A lot of these clients won't hop in a gym to start with anyway. So
right.
So that's that. I have used video for different clients who have, I've given them, different workout plans with squats and deadlifts, and I've asked them to take videos, but I still find that really limiting, because if I give them a few pointers here and there, they've got to sort of remember that, and sometimes there's so much sort of going through their mind. I think unless you're there at the time, it can be a difficult thing to manage. So yeah, that's sort of my take on it. The number one focus for me is basically the nutrition side of things, and I basically try and refer out. I've got a network worldwide where I can sort of send them to relevant coaches to sort of do that. So yeah, personally from my perspective, I think that's the biggest challenge.
Okay, that's also a really valid point. The fact that you're not there to just cue them.
Yeah, you're not there to sort of give the cues to sort of say, do this, or lift your chest up, or whatever else. So, I just find it hard, and I sort of, I could say something, and I suppose the second biggest problem with online coaching is that your words can somewhat be interpreted differently, and you might mean something, and they might take it somewhere else. So, if it was something as technical, if they need to really sort of work on I don't know, some, I give them YouTube video links and whatnot of different movement patterns to sort of see where they can sort of mirror that. But that's not necessarily all that helpful either, because different clients have different limitations with different movements. So yeah, I'm not sure how to best answer that, because I try and steer clear, because I just find it hard to coach that.
Yeah, that's definitely, a major issue. Like, just because being the personal training industry, I myself have problems with clients. I'm there with the client, and I'll be telling them, all right, let's keep the chest tall, right? So probably for the first set they'll be able to keep the chest tall, but when they come to the second set, they completely forget about keeping the chest tall, and they just go back to a rounded upper back and stuff like that. If in person I face that kind of difficulties, I would imagine that on online training it's way tougher, especially since you're not going to be there. So I think that's a very it's a very legitimate problem most of us face. And like you said, we can only do so much, especially if you're not going to be there. And I
think some coaches are probably, I've had, I've sent some videos of my own sort of movement patterns to Ken in Brisbane, and sort of said, asked him to sort of all go over. And some coaches are better at it, but that's probably where I'll put my hand up and it's not a strong point, so I sort of don't delve into something because I don't want it to sort of go the opposite way where we're trying to reach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like for coaches, a lot of coaches and personal trainers feel like they must be good in every aspect, and they can't tell their clients, "I don't know." But I mean, we need to realize that it's all right to say, "I don't know," or refer out somebody that is actually more proficient at probably a different aspect, probably movement patterns. And for like Jordan itself, like you said, you focus on more the nutrition aspect of things. And I mean, we talk about this, we can refer to one another because I guess at the end of the day, we are actually looking to fulfill the client's needs, not to like boost
Yeah.
boost our ego and say we know everything in the whole world and stuff like that.
Uh, a way that I've gone around it, at least with the clients that are in my own sort of area code, is that for the people that don't necessarily have a budget or the time to train with me 3 4 times a week, we do a hot combination of online and offline coaching, whereby I'll see them once a week, and I'll coach them and I'll cue them, and we'll reinforce all the basic movement patterns so that they're able to do, goblet squats and split squats and lunges and all that kind of stuff. And the rest of the time they have their program, which they work at home. And I also think it's important for budding entrepreneurs to understand that whereas the three of us are going to sit around and do heavy triples for deadlifts, most people don't need that. Most people don't want that.
Yeah,
People don't
definitely.
people don't have a desire to have a huge 1 rep max. They want to move better. They want to feel better. They want to lose a little fat. And again, the whole prospect of coaching cues so that strength doesn't leak out of your feet because you're not training more really doesn't apply that much. I think people need to be able to learn how to squat with body weight, and do push-ups and pull-ups, and do all the base body weight movements first before they even start thinking about doing anything with external weight sources. So, um, but I think that's a good way for me to circumvent the problem, is to be able to be with the person once a week, and then the rest of the time let them establish their own independence, in the gym or at home or wherever it is they do work out.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. A client might send me a video of them doing, 50% max weight on a squat, for example, and then put a bigger load on the bar, and all of a sudden, their whole movement pattern completely changes, and what I was coaching here is completely different to where they're having trouble and whatnot. So I think if you've got the ability to sort of be in front of the client at some point in time, like you're saying with some of your clients, I think that would sort of change the scope of things completely. But so obviously some clients on the other side of the world, it's a difficult task.
Yeah. Anyways, I think we beat that question to death a little bit. And we talked a little bit about it before, but just to reiterate, for the sake of being complete, something that I find really important is, again, to focus on the customer relationship management aspect of things, like building trust and building the bond, like you said earlier. But more importantly, also being able to focus on things like tracking their progress. I think that's something that's extremely motivating for my clients. Being able to see the fact that they've, put on an inch in their arms for the span of 8 weeks, or the fact that their weight is dropping, or the fact that their measurements are changing. Is that something that you find difficult for your clients to comply to? Sort of getting in touch with you on a weekly basis just so we can track progress together?
Yeah, so we have 3 different ways of checking progress. That's 1 through the scale with weight, 2 with measurements, and 3 with photos. And basically that's what we do on a weekly basis, and we make sure we're tracking in the right direction. Sometimes the weight can sort of throw them in a 360. Sometimes it can. Sometimes they can have expectations for something, and it generally doesn't always go that way, especially the longer they're on the program. The first few weeks is, kicking some serious goals, but that sort of changes as time goes on. and it sort of just naturally can have a tendency to slow down, or one week they may have gained half a kilo or whatnot. So that's sort of one of the tougher things to sort of manage and trying to explain is sort of the whole cycle and where we started and where we're at and whatnot. So yeah, we do that on a weekly basis, and as I sort of said, we touch base on a daily basis, and I get them to update their food plan, well, update what they've eaten for the day and whatnot. One of the things that I sort of find that, one of the easiest things that I find is that there's so much mindless eating going on. People just picking up different foods and eating, and sort of, I think we all know anyone that sort of says they eat X number of calories, it's generally a lot more if they're sort of not paying attention. So I'm making my clients sort of take photos of the meals and upload, and it's sort of taking something that's a sort of a back of the mind operation to the front of the mind, and all of a sudden they start thinking about everything that's going into their mouth, and that's sort of, I would say that's probably the biggest goal right there, is you get that happening, and then magic starts happening. It sort of just becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. Like, I completely agree. Even with my in-person clients, I have them taking pictures of their food. I mean, and get them send it to me, not for me to actually just to track what they're eating, but when they take the pictures of their food, they actually realize, like, oh, right, this is actually what I'm eating. And I mean, as time passes by, you're showing them, like, oh, this is how your eating habits has actually changed from probably like a crap load of junk, and probably after a couple of weeks, this is what you're eating right now. And just by this, looking at the food and see how they progress in their nutrition, it actually gives them a boost or more encouragement to actually stay on the plan.
Yeah, I love that.
One of the things that all clients that come to me, the first thing they need to do is do about 3 days worth of food diary and send it to me. So that's before they start the program. And I think, I would say at least 90% of them always say, "Oh, I think I know where the problem is." That's just something that people are just busy and they're distracted and they're just putting things in their mouth without even thinking about it. And sort of, that's like, if people have their own support structure and they can do it themselves, they can do it themselves. But so that's sort of a large part of what I do. I sort of help them be accountable. It's not magic. It's not anything special. But I help them be accountable and make something that's mindless into something they're putting some thought into.
That's exactly it, man. It's really about creating a sense of accountability for the client. The whole picture thing is something that I do as well, and I think it has an added benefit of giving them perspective as to what their meals should like. If they're not able to prepare them at home, have to go to a business meeting, or they're out with their friends on a birthday, they're able to make better choices for their meals. And like you said, I don't really care if they go out and have a piece of cheesecake or a milkshake or a frappuccino, as long as they know how it fits into their plan and it's moving them closer towards their particular goals. That's great. Go and have a piece of cheesecake because you've had a nice steak and a salad, and that fits into your macros for the week. So that is really the point that you've made.
Yeah, that's definitely something really huge. I mean, I always find that being too strict with clients is actually something that rarely works out well. I always tell my clients, I mean, if you send me pictures, I don't really care if, like you say, it's cheesecake or ice cream. I just want to see what you're actually having. I mean, for all you know, I myself I would ask you, where do you get the cheesecake from? I myself would probably go grab the cheesecake and buy a slice for myself. I mean, but I just want to know what you're eating. I mean, in that case, when I do that, the clients would actually think like, wow, this guy is actually human. He actually eats like cheesecake and stuff. He's not like some restrictive, control diet freak, and everything I send to him needs to be healthy or in a way clean, as people often put it. It just, makes things easier when you and your clients actually know that you actually enjoy your food as well, and you're not eating chicken breast and broccoli every single day of your life.
Right.
That'd be horrible. And all my clients will know is one of the sort of my mottos is don't be a food weirdo. If you're out and about, don't be just a weirdo where you say you can't. You're at your friend's house and they've cooked dinner, and all of a sudden you're saying you can't eat this because of, you're on this plan or whatever. You got to have a life, and if it can't fit in now, it's not going to fit in the future. And I sort of want something that's sustainable, something that's going to be able to continue forever, basically, and they can tweak it along the way. But as I sort of say, don't be a weirdo. Don't talk about your food. Don't say that this is what you got to do, and your friend that's gone to the effort to cook something. It's a meal here and a meal there. It's not going to be the end of the world. So that's sort of my motto on that.
Oh, for sure, absolutely. Cool stuff. On to our next question. A lot of different dudes that I speak to, that I network with, have different ways of keeping all their client files organized. My website is based on the Trainerize platform, but even then, I just like to keep all my stuff sort of organized in Word documents and Google spreadsheets. Is that something that you find is helpful for you, seeing as you have a whole lot of clients?
I missed the start of the question. Sorry, it was dropping out a bit.
Okay. For me, because it's not a primary source of income. Like, I have a few online clients here and there, because I enjoy interacting with all these different people. For me, having Google spreadsheets and Word documents works really well to keep everything organized, so that I remember to keep in touch with all my clients. Since you have, I don't even remember how many clients you have, in the hundreds, if I recall correctly, how do you manage to keep all your clients organized and on top of everybody's sort of meal plan and nutritional plan?
Simply stated, I generally use the Facebook platform to coach all my clients. So basically what I do is I create a private group with myself and the client. And basically once anything's posted in there, it's myself and the client, and that's it. And everything that goes in there is recorded there forever until Facebook changes the rules. So so every little bit of dialogue, every conversation is noted there, and Facebook's good. You've got a search field and you can add files and photos and everything else. It's nearly perfect. It's at no cost. It doesn't, and I find Facebook good because you can also interact with the clients, and they can see that you're a normal person and that you've got kids, or you enjoy different things that's similar to them, and that just creates just a whole that sort of level of trust. They know. One of the things I think is always going to be a challenge with an online business is, like, if you've never met someone, it's like, who are you? You're just a person on the internet. How do you create that trust? I could be, I could be a 140 kilo bloke in, I don't know, in the middle of Melbourne. And I'm just, taking their money and giving them a plan and whatever. So I think that's where Facebook comes in handy. They can see who I am, and you can see my rants about random shit and whatnot, but they sort of they get a sort of sense that you sort of do become friends with your clients because you're interacting with them so much, but you sort of do get that feel there from Facebook. So that's what I use, and I think it's great. I also use email for clients. Not everyone's on Facebook, obviously, so I use emails where I can, but I just find that Facebook is just that tool where it sort of just helps you get in with the client and sort of create that little level of sort of trust and familiarity with each other.
That's cool. Do you ever have your clients interact with one another in the groups to sort of have
so what
clients
I do
maybe?
So I create I create lots of pages, but I create the first pages with the client and I. So that's for all the stuff that we want to talk about. That way it's sort of private and we can have any discussion that we need to have, whether it's about bowel movements or whatever else. And the other page is with all the clients for that particular month. So, we track the 100 odd clients in there, and then we do different group stuff about goal setting and stuff that we can share with it and keep each other accountable and create a good sort of team environment. And that sort of helps as well because they support each other. I can't be online all the time. I've got clients that have been with me for 12 months now. So sometimes a new client will open up a question, and I've got clients there that are sort of there answering the questions before I even can get to it. It's nearly the perfect format.
Yeah.
And it's also cool to like have the sort of a little tribe ordeal, because then people take pride in the fact that they're part of a team, and that sort of gives them an added dimension of motivation to post pictures, for example, like, hey, look, these are my progress pics for the week, dudes. Check out my traps or whatever, and that gives everybody else a little bit of a boost as well to be like, whoa, this guy's got his shit together. I got to go to the gym like right now.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's really good. That whole, if you can get, after all the sort of time I've been doing it, I've not had a problem within the group where you've had a couple of members that sort of clashed heads. I've never had that problem. So I think it's one of the main focuses you need to, if you're going to have a group page where you're going to have so many different personalities from so many corners of the globe. It's a culture that you need to cultivate, and you need to spend some time to sort of create that culture, because once you sort of get a couple of people in there that might not be what you want, it can sort of start turning a little cancerous, and sort of so your culture needs to be you and what you want it to be, and you need to cultivate it.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I mean, like, it's the same thing. An example with like the culture and the whole community thing. Very, very clear aspect of something in the fitness industry that really succeeded on building a culture and community. I mean, it's CrossFit. I mean, they're not the best training modality to help people reach their goals, but I mean, when people go in, look at the culture, look at the community, it's just like, it's all about the culture and community. I mean, if people don't see gains, people go there just in a way to hang out with one another. I mean, that just shows how important a culture and community can actually be.
So what you're really saying is that what you have your clients do are like 15 sets of heavy triples followed by box jumps, hurdles, keeping muscle loss, and then burpees until they die?
Some keeping in there, something like
that. For a time.
Is that what?
Cool. Next question that we have for you, man. It's sort of linked, but as far as getting repeat customers or keeping current customers that maybe aren't ready to engage you the way that you'd like to be engaged, and by that I mean the ones that don't really stick to their plans, keeping them and getting repeat customers, and then getting referrals. Is there a particular protocol that you have set up, or do people naturally just refer some of their friends to you?
The fat loss industry, or weight loss industry, or body composition industry, whatever you want to call it, there's something funny about it in that if you start making changes, you can't help but talk about it, or your friends can't help but comment on it, and that sort of drives my marketing, full stop. So my clients get results, it leads into word of mouth, which results in their friends joining up. So as I sort of said back in when I first started, I put it out to 10 clients, to 10 friends who took on my program, and then they got remarkable results. And then basically the next 4 weeks they had referred 3 of their friends, and then the month after I had 30 clients. The month after that I had 70 clients and 100 clients, and I'm sort of capped at about 120, 130 each month. I can't manage much more at the moment. So I don't do anything else. I sort of, I'm probably not the best person to speak to about marketing per se, but that's basically what I do. Is I make sure, number one, I get my clients the results that they want, or that they're happy with. Once I do that, the next bit is just easy, because they love to talk about it. They love to other people talking about it, and it just sort of evolves naturally. You don't need to do anything else, because people love talking about it.
True that, but do you give any incentives to existing clients? Like, look, for any one of your friends that you refer, again, with the caveat that they've already achieved their goals, look, dude, I'll give you an extra 12 weeks for free for every friend that you refer.
Yep. So what I do is, to be honest, I don't need to, because it sort of happens naturally. But what I do is I've got a structured pricing. So this is what I do right now. Whether that stays the same for the next month or the month after, I don't know. So this is what I do right now: is I have a opening price of $99.95 for the first 4 weeks. And if clients want to come on for another 4 weeks, they then have 3 options. $74.95 for subsequent, because it's much easier. There's not as much setup of a client, etc. So it's less work. So they've got $74.95 just to sign up for the next 4 weeks. Or they can share my ad amongst their friends on Facebook, and then I'll make the price $70. If one friend joins, they can have the program for $50. If 2 friends join, they can do the next 4 weeks for free. So that's sort of what I do, as I sort of create an incentive for them to sort of talk about it. But I found that it's only something I've started doing in the last 4 or 5 months. I didn't really need to do that, because they just have a tendency to talk about it anyway and refer. But it was sort of my way of sort of, I don't know, giving back and sort of creating a sort of culture and sort of a reward, I suppose.
Cool, man. Very, very cool. Kendrick, you want to hit Jordan with the last question we have for the day?
Yep, sweet stuff. Like, for the last question, I mean, you mentioned previously that what you do is first you actually need to do a really good job with your clients, and then your clients will start speaking about your business, telling their friends about it. So, I mean, for you, you've been in the online business for quite a bit of time, and you've gone through the ups and downs. So, for someone, a new personal trainer who is looking to get into the online business as a start, what advice would you give them, like to start off? And you could probably give an advice or two, and probably a mistake that for them to avoid.
All right. I suppose I'd start off by saying, your first good 6 months, probably 12 months. Even now, I'm still learning, but that was really about learning. That whole sort of early stages of my business was about learning about how to interact with clients and everything else. So and I wasn't charging a whole heap of money. It was about creating exposure, creating clients with great results and whatnot. So the first 6 months was just purely about trying to get results, learning as much as I can, having an open dialogue. Really, as I sort of said, I put it out early days to sort of create a supplementary income. I charged $50 for the month. I had 10 clients. It was $500 a month. It wasn't anything massive. So that was purely about supplementing. And then once I got started, it just sort of evolved from there, and I increased pricing and whatnot to try and cap numbers, because I was just getting too much inquiry and I just couldn't manage it. So I sort of suggest that when you first start out, don't expect to be turning it into your primary source of income. Expect to learn a lot from your clients. Expect to learn a lot about yourself. Understand that your language is really important. About sometimes you only got a couple of opportunities with a client, and they can sort of just get their back up, or you could have said something the wrong way. So, online business is good because you've got the backspace. You can think about something, you think, no, that's probably not the way it's going to come across, and I can hit backspace a few times and rephrase the whole statement. So just be mindful of that. Keep your open dialogue. Be in it to learn. Because it'll teach you a lot about other people and their mindset, and it's been awesome. I've got a lot of clients with autistic children. I've got clients that have lost children. I've got clients that upwards over 200 kilos and whatever else, and you just get a whole new appreciation for each person's struggle. It's not as simple as do A and get B. It's so much more, and you just need to open the dialogue, discuss, and if you're good at it, the client will open up to you and they'll start talking, and you can start helping, you can start building that person up. I sort of think of my first 4 weeks as sort of a consultation. Not necessarily, we always get results in that 4 weeks, but I really use that 4 weeks to help the client discover themselves, to help me understand the client a bit more, and sort of give them something that they can work on for quite some time, whether that's with me or whether that's with them.
Very, very cool, man. All right, Kedrick, do you have any closing statements for us today?
All right. So I guess what Jordan really brought up very, very good points today. I think a lot of it revolves around building relationship with clients, especially because this is very much, in a way, you rarely get to see your clients in person, and most of the times, if you don't build a relationship, it feels like you're just talking to the computer. And I mean, after a while, you might be able to sustain it for a couple of months, but after a while, the clients would actually they'll lose it just because they don't feel the personal interaction. And what Jordan has really brought up is that, go on Facebook, show that your clients, they're actually human, create interaction among clients themselves, let the clients have conversation with one another, build an entire community. And that is something that is pretty much overlooked during an online personal training business, is that people are focusing on, all right, how do I write the best programs? How do I write the best nutrition guidelines? I mean, that's all good and fine, but how do we actually keep the clients going with the best training program and nutrition guidelines that you actually have written? Is actually by building a community. And I guess that's a very, very big takeaway point for me today. So what about you, Danielle?
I agree with you, man. And to that, I'll add that a lot of people try to just build up their brand and make themselves out to be so super duper awesome and badass, and that you'll get results in the span of 3 days by working out 5 minutes. And it's one of those things where it's not. Like, we're dealing with people. We're not dealing with machines. We're dealing with personalities, people that have different needs, people that have different approaches, different lifestyles, different mindsets. They're in different places whereby some people are able to jump in the gym and start doing deadlifts because they know how to do it, and some people that, like Jordan's client, have a hard time just moving on a day-to-day basis. So it's important to get into the mindset, into the heart of a client, to really understand what's going on, so that you can create the program for them, as opposed to promising a cookie cutter one-size-fits-all program, which that's just not the way fitness is. Everybody has different things to bring to the table.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I just think that I started out, and I've always thought, how can I mass scale this, or how can you sort of create, an income that's sort of just a passive income that just, it's not possible from my perspective. If you can find a way to do it, good on whoever's listening, but I don't think it's possible. There's just too many variables between the individuals. There's no quick cookie cutter. At the end of the day, I can give a plan to a client where they eat McDonald's 3 meals a day, and I can still get them to lose weight. But we've got to. I find the nutrition side and everything else. It's not. That's not the difficult part. The difficult part is the interaction and getting the client to start caring about themselves, and start really and just getting the results that they need. Some of these clients some of my clients have been in a bad way for whatever reason. It's just about getting the results, whatever way you need to get them results. The most healthy, most sustainable way. So don't go into this business thinking that you're all the answers, because you don't. Your clients, you'll learn more from your clients than you'll expect. So just go in there with your ears open and your eyes peeled.
Right.
When in doubt, consult Alan Aragon and Lyle. That's like the last thing I gotta say, because they know everything ever in the world.
Yeah, but for Lyle McDonald, probably not. You consult him, not on the interaction part. That's
right. He's gonna tell me to go fuck myself because I'm functionally retarded, which he has.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure that'll go down with a lot of my clients.
but I'm a fanboy. Like, I got such a broner for Lyle. It's not even funny. Like, his books are ridiculous. For anybody that wants to learn about nutrition, read his books. They're the shit.
Yeah. All right. So I guess this is the end of our awesome podcast. Thank you so much, Jordan, for your time. We appreciate you taking your time off all the way. And Danelle, thank you for being an awesome co-host. So that's it for episode 3 of 50 Shades of Gainz. Right.
Good stuff, guys. If anyone wants to see me, it's Evolutionary Health on Facebook or jordanlark.com.au. That's still under construction at the moment, but if they want to touch base, that's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, we'll definitely throw in the links below. Once we got everything, we throw in the links, your website, and your Facebook page. All right, sweet stuff.
Sounds good.
Good job.
Thanks, guys.